right, gorgeous humans. How's it
Hello.
going? I am sitting with the wonderful Helen Calvert, the no bullshit coach, and also a phenomenal empower her partner within the Project Woman Collective. It's always a pleasure. Helen, how are you, my love?
I'm very well indeed. I'm a little bit red-faced because I've had some beach time, which has been fabulous, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, not quite enough sun cream. I'm a bit pink.
It's overrated. Oh, I'm going to get such a backlash now, aren't I? You can see everyone, all the comments that get stuck coming
in trouble now.
Oh, I'm going to start a tirade. We're here today because within Project Woman, we love to center ourselves on moving from a collective and greater vibration, and we love to sink in with what the seasons mean, how they impact us, how they encourage us, how they inspire us and motivate us, so that we stop the fight. Because I think we've been doing that for far too long. And so as we are now really in the depths of summer, I mean, where is it going? Blink.
Yeah.
The summer holidays are going to be done, aren't they? They're going to be gone. We are in the depths of summer. And we speak about in Project Woman about this, especially within the inner summer of the menstrual cycle, of this being a time of the Great Mother. You know, this is where you have the capacity to hold everything together because the hormones are in that right place. But the expression of that is that you can love everyone and everything, and you can manage from the micro to the macro. You know, you've got all eyeballs out there, and it's not overwhelming because you can naturally do that. And this is what summer brings up. It also brings up our sense of adventure.
Ooh, it
You
does.
know, summer is our time, isn't it, to go out there and just have fun and bask in those beautiful sun rays. And that's why Helen's here, because she's going to tell us all about how she does summer. So
Absolutely.
Helen, tell us, what does adventure mean to you?
Yeah, it's a big question, isn't it? I think where I would start is that adventure for me is something new. So it doesn't have to be something big. When we talk about adventure, everybody thinks, oh, whitewater rafting, bungee jumping, trekking across Vietnam, which are all adventurous unless you do them every day, in which case they're not. But it's just something new. So you can have an adventure with crochet if you've never tried it before. You know, you can have an adventure with anything, but it's something new. And probably something that's a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Again, it doesn't have to be miles out of your comfort zone, but a little bit out of your comfort zone is what makes it feel adventurous. So that's kind of the general. For me personally, when I think about the word adventure, I'm thinking pleasure, excitement. It's almost certainly outdoors. I'm such a sun bunny, as you can see. I think I'm actually a plant. I kind of stand under it. I'm like, let me grow in the sunshine. So
What did your mum say when she saw the tan? Sorry, go back to a conversation there.
my mother doesn't know I'm sunburned. Don't mention it. No one mention it. Anyway.
Getting tricky on.
Anyway. But, you know, so yeah, I think for me, adventures mainly take place out of doors. But of course, we're going to talk about sex because in a summer, you know, it's all about the putting yourself out there. And I've, of course, had many sexual adventures, which we don't need to talk about now, unless you want to. But that is also a part of it, you know, that is also a part of it. And I think what brings those two things together, so kind of the running around on the beach outdoors and adventurous sex and all the rest of it, is playfulness. I think that really is, for me personally, not for everyone, but for me personally, that's definitely a part of adventure. It feels very playful. And I heard something, it wasn't new, but it was one of those little light bulb moments the other day where I heard someone say that if play feels uncomfortable, that's a sign that your inner child doesn't feel safe. And I was like, oh, yes, you know, because there was a time in my life when being silly, running around on the beach in a bikini like I was on Saturday, making silly faces, taking silly photographs, that wouldn't have felt comfortable. I think we all recognize that perhaps in early adulthood when we're very aware of ourselves. And it's nice to feel now that my inner child feels safe enough to come out in adventure in the summer, in inner summer, when she feels like it. So that was just an interesting, like, I'm going to ponder on that a little bit.
I am going to ponder on that some more, because isn't that curious that you have got to this point in life, Helen, where you get that?
Yeah.
And why is it when we are young, and not saying that we're not young, by the way,
Younger.
we are coming into the change and we are becoming more adult, whatever that means, those insecurities that bubble up, it's fascinating, isn't it? We at this age, do you call it midlife? I'm 40, and I've never felt more comfortable in my own body. I love my own body. If you'd have said to me in my 20s, you're going to love yourself more in your 40s, I would be like, yeah, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I don't think so somehow. It's just mind-blowing, isn't it? I wish that we could somehow not sell it. You don't need to sell it. But we could impart this information to that next generation for them to understand that this is such an amazing time and there are so many adventures yet to come.
Oh, so many, and so much play yet to come. I mean, we are going to talk about sex, bringing it back to sex yet again. Like, you take it so seriously when you're younger. And then if something goes wrong, it's so embarrassing. When you're our age, it's all play. It's all fun and games, isn't it? It's a ridiculous thing to be doing. It's hilarious. Like, why would it not be playful? What are we doing? It's just all of that comes out.
What's that?
It's just all so much more comfortable, isn't it? It's so much less serious. And I think that's where perhaps adventure comes with midlife as well. Just far, far less taking ourselves seriously, far less taking life seriously.
That's the beautiful thing, isn't it? And I'm going to come back to the sex aspect of this conversation, because when you first start going into that zone, I remember from my experience, because of what I had seen, you had to be seductive and
elegant and
yes.
I
mean, I'm 5'1" and I'm quite muscular, so that just never seemed. It didn't feel right.
Yeah,
isn't it? When you try to be something that really you're not, when you step out of that vibration, it feels clunky. And then you feel like you're getting it wrong, when in fact you're just not owning your own vibration, are you? You're not owning, what do we call it? Your authenticity, your truth. There's so many bloody labels out there, but you're just not being real.
Yeah, that's it. And the best things happen, sex or otherwise, the best things happen when you're real. Always.
And no matter how vulnerable that is. But bringing that back, coming back into the summer, when you are in that high vibration of wellness and you are tuning in, there's not really an aspect of vulnerability there, because we come back to what you're naturally capable of, and that is to love and hold space and communicate. Like, the communication is so there. So how easy do you find accessing your adventure, Helen? And I'd love for you to go into, like, when we talk about summer, inner summer versus outer summer.
And summer as everyone understands it. So I guess summer as everyone understands it, so the season of the year, it's easier to access adventure for me because, I know we're in the UK, but the weather is slightly more reliable, hopefully. I can generally get outdoors more. So, that's accessible. It's there. And it just feels like adventures are easier to be had. The evenings are longer, so you can have little adventures after work, whereas in the winter it's like, everything's over by 4 p.m. So I think in the summer season it's easier to access. And something that I wanted to mention, just because it's been so helpful for us. So we are a neurodivergent household, myself and my 2 boys, and we like things to be familiar, and we don't like too much excitement. But we love to have adventures. So how do those 2 things come together? And what I've done for the boys and for me, I've put together little posters, little like A4 posters about the places that we usually go to have little outdoor adventures. And it's got pictures of us being there before. So the youngest can't say, I don't know where that is. I've never been. Yes, you have. There you are in the picture at the place. And it says what's available there. So nobody gets disappointed when they get there and there isn't an adventure playground. I never said there was. So it's what's available and how long the drive is. So again, no one can say, oh, it's too far. I'm bored. Are we nearly there yet? The brilliant thing about this is that that gives us that safety and security of everybody knowing what's going to happen. But then on any given day in the summer, they or I can choose an adventure. Which one of these are we going to go for? And of course, it's different every time. So it's still adventurous, but it gives us that kind of structure that the three of us really need. So it worked amazingly last year. I'm really excited to do it again this year because it meant we had way more adventures than we would have had, because it would have been a case of, no, I don't want to do that thing you've mentioned that I can't picture and don't understand because it sounds different. And instead we went to loads of new places, which was wonderful.
Amazing. Nice one, huh? What about the inner summer?
The inner summer, yes. Well, that's always well then. I mean, my goodness. I think for me, inner summer can be summed up by this. I feel very in inner summer, whereas I'm very, very aware that as my inner autumn progresses, I get much more like this. And it really is sort of that simple for me in terms of how I express it. I think I have a lot of energy in inner summer, but it's very different from my inner spring energy. In inner spring, I have all this energy and I pour it into my work and I'm very productive and everything gets done and it's all very exciting. In inner summer, I still work, but I'm like, I really have no interest. All that energy wants to go into adventures and fun and just enjoying myself. You know, it's all focused on that. And I'm so aware that it doesn't matter what we think, does it? My body's just like, right, where's a mate then? It's inner summer. So, you know, it does its own thing, doesn't it? It's just exactly. It's like, no matter what I think I'm doing, my body's like, we're looking for somebody here. It makes me laugh so much. It's like, okay, you know what you're doing. But I think I thought a bit more about this, and it's not just about being outdoors and all that kind of thing. When I'm in inner summer, regardless of what season of the year it is, I think something I really want is movement. Again, obviously sex is part of that, but also just traveling. I love to drive, walking, swimming. Just, I feel like I want to be on the move. Very noticeable in inner summer. And that, again, is all about adventure because, you know, every time we move ourselves and go somewhere, we're going to experience something new. So, yeah, it's just, I think outdoors, sunshine if I can get it, excitement, novelty, pleasure, and definitely movement is kind of my inner summer vibe.
Do you know what? That's so interesting because obviously your inner summer. So for those that are on catch up, we're talking about the season of inner summer within the menstrual cycle. You have the 4 seasons within your menstrual cycle that enable you to access emotions and sensations and feelings to communicate your needs more effectively. And so you don't self-sabotage yourself. So we're talking about the inner summer to align with the outer summer. When you spoke about you want to move more, it's fascinating because when you think about it, this is a time of like procreation. This is when you could get pregnant. This is when your hormones are like, yeah, now I want a mate. So you are literally moving out there to find that mate. It's phenomenal when you tune in what you feel and what the responses are. It's unbelievable. I mean, I remember going back to when I worked in corporate. I was working in Mayfair and it was a Friday and I remember this now because I was remembering my cycle. I was around ovulation and I walked down the street and I felt shit hot. I'd tan the night before. I'd put all my makeup on and I remember walking down the street and like everyone, like the blokes, and I was like, oh, I am, look at you. Yes, got it going on. Because as well, get this, at ovulation, your face becomes the most symmetrical it ever is because you're attracting and you want to attract a mate. And this is why you wake up one day and think, whoa, I've got it going on. And then you wake up next day like, what happened?
My breasts are a different shape in the summer every time.
Amazing.
It's like they're like, hello, we're available. Oh no, go away. Oh no. It's like, what are you doing?
And there we have it. You've
mad.
a micro session in what Inner Summer can offer you. Amazing. So bringing ourselves back to the adventure, Helen, what conflict do you encounter when it comes to accessing these adventures? Is there anything that actually limits or stops you or makes you think that you can't?
So inevitably, things don't always line up. I mean, anyone who follows you, anyone who dives into the content in Project Woman will know that we can set our lives up, especially if we're self-employed, because we have that extra freedom. We can set our lives up to align better with our cycle. But even with the best will in the world, sometimes you've got to do something boring when you're in a summer. You've got to do something that means you have to sit still. You know, it doesn't always line up. So I think when that happens and you feel that pull to do something, for me, it's very much like self-care, really. It's about what little things can I do then, rather than completely denying myself and like, well, you can't rush off for 3 days at the beach because you've got work to do. You know, can I head down to the brook near our house at the end of the day and maybe just put my feet in and have a quick paddle and look at the sky and just give myself a little bit? Because, you know, as I say, the conflict is that, yes, we want to do this at this time and this at this time, but life happens. So it's just remembering to kind of honor that, even if it's in a little way. And the other conflict, I guess, is kind of, it's something that I come across with a lot of my clients. When we talk about fun and adventure and anything that fills our cup, there's that feeling of, do I deserve it? Which is such an area to dig into, you know, because a little bit like rest, people sometimes feel like they have to earn this stuff. So it's like, yeah, fun and adventure and having a great time and skipping through the woods. That sounds amazing. But have I earned it? Do I deserve it? Which personally, I have no problem with. Like, I've overcome that mindset block, but I know it's a real one for a lot of people. It's like, well, yeah, but how do I do that? How does someone let me do that? Where do I get permission to do that? Which I find a fascinating one to dig into.
I just did a dance through my cycle then, and like I deserve that shows up in like totally different ways. So my bleed in a winter and ovulation way in the summer, I don't even need to say anything. It's like, yeah, I do. And then when I go into in the spring, I'm like, I deserve this. And then when I come around to in autumn, I'm like, I deserve this.
Yes, please help me. Yeah, and I think if ever I do struggle, it would be in inner autumn. I would say that's where the mindset blocks get a little bit sturdier and the little voices get a little bit louder. But yeah, it's probably the biggest conflict for people if we talk about anything that isn't hard work and productivity. You know, it's like, wow, don't know if I'm allowed that. But as you and I know, Abby, the one thing we're all always allowed is fun. Good grief. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
This is the thing, and this is what we are endeavouring to impart, right, Helen? When we talk about, when we talk on Project Woman, we speak of working from a more feminine perspective. And what we mean by that is really tuning into your vibration and take out what you believe to be vibration. You know, we've all got these connotations, the terms of getting it, not getting it, woo woo, blah, blah, blah. But it's communication at the end of the day. And if you feel like life is a fight, 9 times out of 10, the fight is coming from in here. And this is what our conversations are opening up.
Yeah.
And this idea that you have to keep going all the time and doing all the time. You know, if you're one of these people that wants to fight the patriarchy, I mean, I don't think we have to fight anymore. I've come to this conclusion now. I'm over fighting. I'm a big, strong woman, and I don't need to fight. I'll make my own way in life. And if everyone wants to join me, I'm so happy with that. That's amazing. But fighting only ever leads to anger, anger really, and it results in conflict, and inevitably someone gets hurt in that.
And it's
So
usually you.
yeah, exactly. So our conversations are all around this feminine conversation that allows us to enjoy the masculine and create great conversations with men and all of these wonderful genders that we now have in the world. And if you are interested in partaking in some of those conversations, why not join Helen and I and a wonderful group of women on the Project Woman Collective? It is not a membership, just to put it out.
It's not a course. It's not an online course.
It's not a course. You're not going to get stars and stripes or anything like that. You're just going to meet really awesome people like Helen who have so much experience that they want to share, but not in a way that does that.
No.
So, along with Helen's details on the bottom, you will find Project Woman's details, and we invite you to join us. But Helen, before we sign off on summer, is there anything that you would like to leave?
Yes. So in a week's time, so on Tuesday, the 4th of July, I am doing an adventure day in Alderley Edge in Cheshire with Katia Willems, who is a micro adventurer. She is a fabulous woman. I highly recommend people follow her. And we are going to have a day during school hours, so hopefully it's accessible, when people can do exactly what we've just been talking about. Find their inner adventurer, find their fun, find that they deserve it, figure out how to bring more of it to their lives, find the joy, just, leave with that feeling of let's do it, let's grab life by the whatevers and go for it. So we
By the breasts, not the balls.
Absolutely. Grab whatever you want to grab. But
just so, not Helen's on her inner summer.
Leave me alone. No, I'm So yeah, we'd love for people to join us, and the tickets are £42 per person. So you can, hopefully we can find the details below if you wouldn't mind linking that as well. I think that would be fab.
No problem. Thank you. Helen, thank you for joining me, my darling.
Such a pleasure, always.
Thank you, my love, and thank you for listening. Get in touch. You got any questions, or like I said, come join us on Project Woman. You're worth it.
Absolutely.